Arsenal. What a week it has been, and what a summer is coming. Let us be honest with each other for a second. If you are reading this right now, you are probably still feeling some kind of way about Sunday. Some of you are angry. Some of you are trying to stay calm and focus on the bigger picture. Some of you probably turned your phone off after the final whistle and only just came back online. And honestly, all of that is valid, because what happened at Wembley was painful. But here is the thing. The story does not end there, not even close. This blog post is going to cover everything. The loss to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final. What really happened on the pitch, what the football world is saying about it on social media, the tactical side of things that made it so frustrating to watch. And then, just when you think the bad news is over, we are going to flip it completely, because the transfer news coming out of Arsenal right now is very, very exciting. We are talking about a player who would drop everything to join us. We are talking about a position that genuinely needs to be upgraded. And we are talking about a potential summer that could set us up for the next 5 years. So grab a cup of tea or whatever you are drinking, sit down, and let us get into it together as a community. This is Bella Guna TV, and we are always here to give it to you straight. Sunday at Wembley and why it hurt so much. Let us start with the game itself. Arsenal versus Manchester City. Carabao Cup final. Wembley Stadium. On paper, it was the kind of fixture that gets your heart going even before kickoff. In reality, it turned into one of those afternoons where everything felt just a little bit off. The energy was not quite there. The movement was not quite there. And City, as they almost always do in these big moments, made us pay for every single mistake. Now, before we get into the tactical stuff, let us just acknowledge the emotion of it all. Losing a cup final hurts. It does not matter what anyone says about priorities or the bigger picture. You show up to Wembley, you dream about lifting that trophy, and when it does not happen, it stings. Full stop. So to every single person in the Bella Guna TV community who woke up on Monday feeling deflated, just know that feeling is completely normal. We have all been there. But once you get past the emotion, you have to look at what actually happened. And the truth is, Pep Guardiola was brilliant. He came up with a plan that completely exposed something about this Arsenal team that we have quietly worried about for a while now. What Pep did and why it worked. This is the part that really got people talking. Thierry Henry, who knows a thing or two about Arsenal and about football in general, came out after the game and explained exactly what City did. And it was genuinely eye-opening. Henry said that Arsenal were not just poor on the ball, they were toothless. And then he said something that really stuck. He said that Pep did not even bother pressing Arsenal's centre-backs. Let that sink in for a moment. Normally, when a team plays against Arsenal, they press high and try to stop us from building from the back. But Pep looked at our team and decided that our centre-backs on the ball were not actually a threat. So instead of wasting energy pressing them, he simply shut down all the routes into midfield. He closed the doors. He blocked every passing lane that would allow Arsenal to progress. And suddenly, our build-up play had nowhere to go. The effect was devastating. Our defenders had the ball but had nobody to pass it to. Our midfielders were being tightly marked. Our wingers could not get the service they needed. And the whole machine just ground to a halt. Henry put it perfectly when he said that Pep does not chase the game. He controls it. And that is exactly what happened on Sunday. We were playing into his hands from the very first minute without even realizing it. Now, here is a question for you, Bella Guna TV family. Do you think Arteta learned something from Sunday that will make us better going forward? Or do you think City just have our number when it matters most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is a real conversation worth having. What social media was saying after the game. If you were online after the final whistle, you know that social media was absolutely wild. And we are not just talking about City fans celebrating. The reactions were coming from everywhere, and they ranged from funny to painful to downright philosophical. One City fan account posted the Thierry Henry quote about Pep being a genius and Arteta always being his student. That one landed differently for a lot of Arsenal fans. Because whether you agree with it or not, you have to admit that in these big head-to-head moments, Pep has had the edge far more often than not. Then there was someone who pointed out something really interesting. They noticed that City players were not pressing Arsenal's backline at all during the game, which is exactly what Henry was describing. It was not just smart tactics, it was also a kind of mind game. City were essentially saying, we are not even worried about what you can do from back there. And that is a brutal thing to communicate to an opponent during a cup final. One fan posted that Arsenal will perform well until it is time to win trophies. And look, that one hurts because there is some truth in it from a recent history standpoint. But here is where we need to be careful, because writing off this Arsenal team right now would be a massive mistake. We are still in the race for the Premier League. We are still in the Champions League quarterfinals. There is still so much to play for this season. Another fan talked about Bukayo Saka and made a comparison that some people agreed with and some people really did not. The suggestion was that Arsenal rewarded Saka with big wages before he had truly proven himself at the very top level consistently. And then came the observation that injuries may have cost him some of his magic. Now, this is a sensitive topic, and the Belaguna TV community has a range of views on Saka. So let us ask the question directly. Do you think Saka is still the same player he was 2 years ago? And do you think he will fully get back to his best? Because that could be one of the most important questions for our season run in and for next year too. And then there was the moment that actually got a lot of respect, even from non-Arsenal fans. Arteta, at the end of the game, was seen applauding Manchester City as they collected their medals. One fan called it a touch of class. And honestly, it really was. That is not the easiest thing to do when your heart is breaking. But it showed something about who Arteta is as a person and as a manager. Now let us talk about the summer, because this is where it gets exciting. Right, we have talked about the pain, we have processed Sunday. Now let us shift gears completely, because while all the social media drama was happening and while Arsenal fans were sitting with their feelings, something else was quietly going on behind the scenes. And it involves a player who has been turning heads in the Premier League all season. His name is Tino Livramento. And if you have been following Arsenal transfer news at all recently, you have probably already heard the name. But let us break it all down properly for the Belaguna TV community, because there is a lot to unpack here. Who is Tino Livramento and why does Arsenal want him? Tino Livramento plays right back for Newcastle United. He is still young, he is fast, he is dynamic, he loves to get forward and join attacks, and he has been described this season as phenomenal by people who watch him closely every week. Now, why would Arsenal be interested in a right back? To answer that, you have to look at what we currently have in that position. At the moment, our main options at right back are Jurriën Timber and Ben White. Now, both of these are good players, and we all know that. But here is the honest truth. Timber is naturally more of a defender. His strengths are in stopping the other team rather than bombing forward and creating chances. And Ben White, while he has shown he can be brilliant in that role, has two problems. First, he keeps picking up injuries. Second, he is more naturally a centre-back, and there are real questions about whether right-back is his best position long-term. So when you look at the picture clearly, you can see that Arsenal do not have a natural, pacey, attack-minded right-back who can really stretch defences and create from wide areas. And against teams that sit deep and defend in a low block, that kind of player is exactly what you need. Think about it this way. When we face teams that just park the bus against us, we need creativity from wide areas. We need full backs who can get to the byline, whip in crosses, play 1-2s with the winger, and keep the opposition defense guessing. Livramento is exactly that kind of player. At around £60 million, he is not cheap. But in today's market, that is the reality for any quality Premier League player under 25. And the question is not really whether that price is high. The question is whether Livramento is worth it. And from what we have seen from him this season, the answer looks like yes. The bit that should really excite you here is the part of the Livramento story that should make every single Arsenal fan sit up and pay attention. According to club insider Hand of Arsenal, who has a strong track record for being right about these things and is followed by serious journalists in the game, Livramento would jump at the chance to sign for Arsenal. Read that again. He would jump at the chance. He is not someone who needs convincing. He is not someone who would need to be sold on the project. He already wants to be here. He wants to be part of what Mikel Arteta is building, and that matters enormously. Think about what that says about where Arsenal are right now as a club. A few years ago, would a quality Premier League player who is playing Champions League football with Newcastle United be desperate to join Arsenal? Probably not. But right now, Arsenal are competing for the Premier League title. Arsenal are in the Champions League quarterfinals. Arsenal have a manager who is developing players and building something that feels genuinely special. And players around the league are noticing. This is the direct result of the work being done at the Emirates. And it should give every Arsenal fan genuine confidence about the direction we are heading. Now let us ask the Bella Gooner TV community a question. If Arsenal sign Livramento this summer and he hits the ground running, which other signings do you think we need to go all the way next season? Because getting Livramento in is one piece of the puzzle. But what are the other pieces? Let us talk about it below. How Andrea Berta operates and why it gives us hope. One of the things that came out of the Hand of Arsenal update is a detail about how our sporting director, Andrea Berta, actually operates when it comes to transfers. And it is genuinely reassuring to understand this because it explains a lot about how our business gets done. Berta does not just chase one player and bet everything on that one target. Instead, he identifies multiple options for each position. He looks at their personal terms. He looks at the price range. He considers how they fit into the team tactically. And then he narrows down the list based on which deal makes the most sense in every way. This is why last summer, even though we were linked with loads of players who did not end up joining, the ones who did come in were all good fits. Victor Gyökeres, Noni Madueke, Eberechi Eze, Christian Norgard, Piero Hincapié, Christian Mosquera, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Every single one of those deals came together because Berta had done the preparation beforehand and was ready to move at the right moment. The same thing is happening now for this summer. The groundwork is already being laid. The conversations are already happening. And Livramento is just one of the names that has already been sounded out. The plan is in motion. This should give Arsenal fans real confidence. Because we are not a club that is scrambling around in July trying to figure out what we need. We are a club that is already 6 months ahead of the window, doing the detailed work that separates good transfer strategies from great ones. What about Ben White and the Everton interest? Now, here is where things get interesting from another angle. While Arsenal are looking at bringing Livramento in, there is also a story developing around the player who is currently occupying that right-back position. Ben White. According to the same Hand of Arsenal source, Everton are showing strong interest in signing Ben White ahead of the summer window. And it is not just vague interest either. They are described as currently leading the race among the clubs that have made inquiries. Now, David Moyes at Everton has always been someone who knows how to organise a defence, and Ben White would be a serious addition for them. White can play right back, centre back, and even defensive midfield. That kind of versatility is gold for a manager, and Everton, who are fighting for a European spot this season, would be a very different club if they can add that quality to their squad. For Arsenal, it would make complete sense. If we are bringing in Livramento to be our right back going forward, then White becomes someone we can let go without weakening the squad. The transfer makes sense both ways. We get a young, dynamic, attacking fullback. Everton get a reliable, experienced, versatile defender, and White gets regular first-team football in a position that suits him. The only question is whether White himself would be happy to make that move. He has been at Arsenal for a few years now. He knows the club. He knows what Arteta is building. But he is also a professional who wants to play football. And if his path to regular minutes at Arsenal is being blocked by Livramento and Timber, a fresh start at Everton in a team pushing for Europe might actually be exactly what he needs at this point in his career. What do you think, Bellaguna TV family? Would you be sad to see Ben White go, or do you think it is the right move for everyone involved? The bigger picture and why we should stay positive. Right, let us zoom out for a second, because if you take a step back and look at everything happening around Arsenal right now, the picture is actually quite exciting. We lost a cup final on Sunday. That hurts. Nobody is pretending otherwise, but we are still fighting for the Premier League title. We are still in the Champions League. We have a sporting director who is already working on the summer. We have targets identified, and one of those targets would run through walls to join us. How many clubs in England can say that right now? Arsenal are not just any team anymore. We are a club with genuine momentum. We are a club that players want to join. We are a club that is building something real under Arteta. The defeat to City was a setback, but setbacks are part of sport. What matters is how you respond. And if the response is winning the Premier League and then coming back next season with Livramento in the squad and a hungry squad that has learned from every big game experience, then actually Sunday might end up being just a small bump on a very long and exciting road. Outro and a final word to the Bellaguna TV community. We have covered a lot of ground in this post. We went through the Wembley defeat and broke down exactly why it happened. We looked at the social media reaction and what it tells us about where Arsenal stand in the eyes of the football world. We talked about Tino Livramento and why he would be a genuine upgrade. We got into how Andrea Berta operates and why that gives us confidence about the summer. And we looked at the Ben White and Everton situation and what it means for the squad as a whole. But more than anything, this post is really about one thing, and that thing is belief. Not blind belief that ignores problems, but honest, informed belief that comes from looking at the evidence and seeing a club that is genuinely going in the right direction. Arsenal are not perfect. No club is. We have things to improve. We have questions to answer. But we also have a manager who is learning and growing. We have a sporting director who is smart and prepared. We have a squad full of players who care deeply about this club. And we have targets in the pipeline who actually want to be here. So here is the final question for the Bellaguna TV community. After everything that happened this week and after reading through all of this, are you still believing? Are you still in it with Arsenal for the long run? Because we are. This community was built on love for this club through the good times and the difficult ones. And right now, we think the good times are coming very soon. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this post with your Arsenal friends. And as always, thank you for being part of Bellaguna TV. We see you. We appreciate you. And we will be right here when the next update drops. Up the Arsenal. Always.